Hello world. Okay. Hi everyone on Facebook, in the group, on the live stream. Welcome. New moon. So I'd love to know if you're on the live stream, like feel free to utilize the chat, you guys. We can see the comments also. So just let us know, how are you doing on this beautiful new moon in whatever sign calls to you. Aquarius for tropic, Capricorn for Vedic. If you don't have everything here, yeah, feel free to come on. Hi, Katrina. Yeah, if you're on Zoom, if you're on the Zoom link, guys, if you're seeing the live stream on the group right now, you can click the Zoom link in the event and join us live on the Zoom. This is gonna be more open conversation and less teachy, because we really want to celebrate all the work that we've all already done over the last 6 weeks or so since the new year started in the Gregorian calendar. Now we're jumping on to, we're in the Lunar New Year, right? Tomorrow's the Lunar New Year in Chinese, Asian culture. Lots of Asian. Hi, David. Hi, all these beautiful people. I'm so excited to see all your faces, because sometimes your Facebook profiles aren't even like your face, and it makes me so happy to actually see who everyone is. Okay, so Dylan, are you gonna come? Dylan's just grabbing the last things. So we're going to set our space. Grab your candle. Grab your everything. I can scoot over if you want. And we're just gonna set our intention to just really have a lot of fun today and connect to our inner child, to connect into the play of being creators. Yeah, that's fine. Can you see it?
Does it look on Facebook?
Oh, and then that we're just opening the channel for whatever comes through. So if you guys have any questions, comments, anything that's coming up for you, just really opening this. And even though we're virtual right now, really treating it like a round table, sort of like we're all sitting knee to knee sharing a potluck together, but we're all virtually doing so. Okay. And then you can grab your sage or your Palo Santo, your sage or your Palo Santo or your incense. And again, just setting a container, going from infinity to polarity to singularity, setting the sacred intention, the sacred space for the next hour-ish of your life. Okay. Put this back here. Okay, Dylan, do you want to give them an astrology update, and then we'll bless our food and then get started on painting?
Yeah, big time astrology. I'm sure you guys are all feeling it. All these planets in one sign at once: Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, the sun, the moon. It's just super stacked. So it's a ton of energy hitting you on all waves. For me personally, not reading anything really online, I just been tuning into what I've been feeling, and it's just been a wave of stepping into really showing up for your soul mission, right? And doing so by letting go of your ego and moving selflessly. Are you moving selfishly through into resistance because you haven't expanded your vision into selflessness and allowing yourself to move through that kind of miracle? Today's new moon is in with energy of Mars, so lots of Mars energy, moving forward, creating, doing something, planting those seeds, tying it with the Lunar New Year, Capricorn energy too. It's building those systems, those global systems. So we're asking you to step into our structure. Whoa. And we're asking to like really stay, like I think last week we talked about what's good for you, what works, those patterns that really work for you. And going back to thinking maybe like 18 months, 2 years ago, you know, it's a lot of times in the spiritual mission and spiritual journey, we can just journey of life, we become like a well, right? And when you're bringing water from the well, you have a bucket, and you put the bucket down, You fill up your bucket full of water, you pull it up, and it's like, oh, I have so much water. But through the journey, through the shadow work, through the triggers, through the world around us, sometimes the bucket gets holes in it and the water starts leaking. We need to refill that, repatch that bucket up. Some of us need a new bucket. Some of us need like a new system, new hydraulic system, however that's going to work, right? But tuning into what's worked for you before and what's going to work for you now, pulling that energy back in, lots of restructuring on what you love, how you show up in love, how you show up in life, how you show up in friendships, how you're allowing people to show up for you, and really owning and taking responsibility for creating your own reality, like actually understanding what that means. And if you don't know what that means, really starting to sit with it and looking around and observing that. I think this whole thing just has the energy. It's they predicted this energy, like I think it's 1962. The Indian astrologers were like, oh my, this specific conjunction is end of the world energy, but it's really the beginning of the new earth, and we are the builders of it. So we create whatever we want, and we do that through play and joy and ease and grace. So it's a great time to be alive. If you're feeling total blasted with emotions, go sit in the sun, go take a bath,
Go cry it out.
go cry it out, get mad for a bit, be okay with getting mad for a bit, get triggered.
That's like the best part about the twin flame journey, you guys, is that we get so fucking triggered with each other for like an hour. And then literally all of a sudden by the end of the freak out, it's like, oh yeah, I guess I needed to clear that. Back on mission. Let's go back to high vibing, right? It's not about always being in a space of always being high vibe. It's that you allow the energies in motion that are stuck to play out, right? And you can let yourself go down. You can like a little kid throwing a temper tantrum, right? Like it's okay to do it. And then as soon as they're done throwing their temper tantrum, what happens? They turn around, they go back, and they go and play, right?
It's over so quick.
Yeah. So
And
we're gonna.
this is also one more thing that is happening for your highest potential. So this is the 10th house. It's basically like what you could really lean into and do. So give your heart a chance to speak to you today and listen into your intuition and say, okay, what do I really want to create this year? Who am I? And what do I want? And just tune into that simple questions to then be able to help become your highest potential. And think big, right? Dream big, because the big ideas bring in the big money to help you support that.
Yeah. And the big money is then pulled and like cleansed. It's like cleaning the money, right? We're not actual money launderers, but by having it rotating in the healing community instead, right? Supporting each other as we're building the new work. Because as we're buying properties and we're building construction projects and we're doing all of that, becoming landlords and all of these things, we're going to be having large income, and we don't want to have any of the negativity around money, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I already saw some of y'all snacking, so I want to do the blessing over food so that we can all just like snack and not feel like we're waiting for it. So I'm gonna hold the plate. Do you want to? Or do you want to hold it?
I'll do that.
Okay, so we're just gonna put our hands over our food, our snack that we brought, whatever it was. And just for a second, first, like feel the energy coming off of your food. Like this was whatever you're eating was once living, whether it's a plant or whether it's meat, it doesn't matter.
It still has prana.
It still has life energy.
If it's a vegetable or a fruit
Or even,
or
I mean,
meat, yeah, it still has prana. All that has prana.
So just taking a second to be really grateful for the food that you're about to take into your body that will turn into nourishment, that will allow for you to continue to be on mission, and really just honoring this planet that we have that gives us these things. The fact that we have a supermarket that we can go to, or any market, even if you're somewhere small where you're going to the market daily, you still have a market. You're not having to grow your own food right now, I don't think. Even if you are, you still have food to grow. I know, Katrina, I'm like, shit, I think Katrina's growing her own food right now. But she still has to go do the work and like go pick it and go take care of it and all of these things, right? So just being super grateful and then filling it. This is the prayer that I do over all of my food. So I'm going to share it with you. And I always call in Hermes, Thoth, Mercury, same God. So food of life, filled with the hope and heart of Hermes Trismegistus. Give us the energy this day that we may work our will. Will, wealth fills every fiber of our beings. And so it is. Thank you. And now we can eat, so don't feel bad snacking the rest of the time. So even just like that, how easy is it to just take a second to be in ritual? And it's just fun that you can do anything. You can be at the restaurant and just like put your hands over your food for a second and just say a little mini prayer. And it's like having this sneaky little game between just you and the food. Everywhere you go, yeah, maybe people look at you a little sideways. Like I might not speak out loud, but I still make my triangle over my food everywhere I eat. It's little things that we think about as adults, like, oh, is someone watching us? Little kids don't care. So that's the theme for today's live stream. New moon energy in Capricorn, rooting down into play, because it's so much easier to create even giant billion-dollar empires from a space of play versus a space of like I need to do, like even this like savior mentality of I have to go save the world. That's a lot of responsibility and a lot of burden. But if you're like, oh, it would be really fun if I pretended that I'm a superhero and I'm going to go save the planet, right? It's totally different energy with the same end result, right? Yes. No.
Yes.
Okay. I
And if
usually
you-
wait like for people in the Zooms to like do something.
Honestly, even just getting on the treadmill or going for a run or dancing, if you're having a block and you're like, I don't know what I want to create, I don't know what I should do, doing an active movement will trigger your subconscious and will help bring in those channels for you, because it'll disconnect you from that monkey mind. And it's a really healthy way just to play and just see what comes to you, right? And allow that to just flow. But I was getting so many downloads on the treadmill. I'm just run all the time now. I don't know why, just like heart opening, channeling.
I mean, even just going to the playground with the kids.
Oh yeah, all that.
If you have like nieces or nephews or anyone that'll let you babysit, like just go to the playground and stand in the sun for a second and let your inner child, because we have to remember your sacral chakra is two things. It's your creation center, your play center, but it's also your pleasure center and your sexual center. They're both the same, and there's so much shame around the idea of children and sex being said in the same sentence that it's super hard for us to realize that even something like kinky ass BDSM is only kinky and fun because it's play and because there's a safe container to test the boundaries, which is what children do. Children won't test boundaries with an adult that they're not safe with, right? So if you've got a kid and you're always like, I swear to God, you just leave all of your negative, that's a good thing. It means they trust you enough to push the boundaries. They don't trust the other people enough to push boundaries with them. So since we are super conscious leaders pushing the boundaries of consciousness within our planet, guess what we got to get real comfortable with? Pushing boundaries and actually sitting in our sacral chakra a lot more. So many people focus on the root chakra. Am I rooted? Am I really like grounded in what I'm doing? Am I being supported? And there's so much focus on it that we forget that you can't even root into your creation until you can hold it in your sacral chakra. And so many people have sexual trauma or childhood trauma, and that doesn't get stored in your root. It gets stored in your sacral. Do you want to speak anything about sacral chakra blocks?
Oh man, sacral chakra healing, so good, so powerful, so needed. Really leaning into your biggest shame, right? What is your biggest taboo? What's like the weirdest thing that like you would have a hard time asking somebody? Like, hey, what do you think about this? Is it okay that I felt this? Like, and then opening up and just like letting that out, right? Speaking it to someone is super healing if you have someone you trust. If you don't, just writing it and journaling it out and seeing like what's the biggest thing you've been tabooed or shamed for, even if it was just simply as being shamed for like maybe you wore a little bit of a scantily clad outfit, your dad made a comment projected onto you and you felt like, oh, now I'm a slut or whatever, like I'm just being seen a certain way. Or as a dude, because you had, multiple lovers, or you had, you were maybe, having sex out of a relationship that you were, a playboy or something like that, and clearing that shame out of it. Internet dating shame, internet hookup shame, internet,
All of it.
all the internets, all of the things, anything it possibly could be. Workplace sex shame, like, wanting to be your confident, flirtatious woman self without seeming like, oh, you want to have sex with me.
Or on the other hand, being a man that's just like, I remember when you used to be able to date your coworker and how you weren't afraid of sexual harassment happening afterwards.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a reason though. And I'll tell you the reason. You guys want to know the secret to changing the whole planet? I'll tell you right now. You ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Come on. Ready? Have more sex. Literally, they cannot control a blissed out population. The reason why sex is so shamed is because if someone is sad and they're not allowed to go penetrate anything and they're not allowed to get fucked, they're not allowed to do any of the things that turn us on, then they're going to go around repressed, and eventually they're going to be so angry they're going to go stab someone. And guess what? When you stab someone, you're fucking penetrating them with a knife, with a sword, and all of a sudden it's okay and you can go war off and you can go get off on war because you're penetrating people with bullets and guns, like all of it. Words. So if we all just had more sex and we were all just smiley and ecstasied out because we're just constantly having orgasms, they can't control us. That's it. Like that simple.
Crazy.
Which is why a lot of the times in our live events, I'll lead group orgasms. Like, just let's moan it out, guys. Let's moan it out. And it's really healing to even do something like that. Something that's just like, kids don't care about what sound they're making, right? We care way too much as adults about what other people think in a very like, no, I actually don't give a fuck, but at the same time, like sitting there on Instagram comparing yourself to all of the other influencers. So clearly you do actually give a fuck. Or when you do get triggered, you get mad that you still care instead of realizing, oh, I'm a human and I'm allowed to have feelings, and someone telling me that I need to go take a shower kind of hurts. Dirty hippie, what can I say? But it's okay. Remember, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to throw temper tantrums. I throw temper tantrums all the time. And then I say, you know what, dragons, this is bullshit. Bullshit. I'm here in physical form. Y'all just be ethereal beings in all space and time. How about you throw me a motherfucking bone and help me out do the mission, right? But I'm throwing a full-on temper tantrum, or I will have just. And then to focus the energy of the temper tantrum, put it back into what am I creating, right? Cry my eyes out, go live on Facebook. Because at least I'm creating something and doing something with the energy of that's being released from my body. Go paint, which is what we're going to do. Yeah, makes sense for everyone.
If you're gonna spend your mana being triggered, instead of letting it just play you, actually play with it and create something you want to create with, and you want to grow with it, right? Take it to the next level. Someone triggers you, get off on it and start visualizing what you want to create.
Yeah. If you think about like poetry or music or anything, like there are some sad fucking songs, right? Some poetry that you read and you're literally like just bawling your fucking eyes out. Someone went and created a way to capture the aesthetic of crying and put it into words, right? That's what we're still wanting to do. We're not trying to turn into fucking robots that are just like, love and light, love and light, love and light. We're just gonna change the planet. Love and light. If you walk around doing that, you're literally just walking around cut in half. If you deny yourself the pleasures of the flesh, right? A really good carnal, kinky fuck. I don't know very many light workers that are like, oh yeah, and then we were doing it with the bondage and I was just choking him just a little. Like, no. Dave's gonna die on his sandwich. So good. But it's true, right? Or just like, okay, we're gonna do this together right now because I feel like it. Everyone take your food. If you have some, we're gonna enjoy this bite. We're gonna taste our bite of food all the way down in our sexual organs. Are you ready? Okay. Let's take a second and just like maybe smell it for a second. Oh. Taste it and just take a bite. Close your eyes. Oh, so good. Really feel the texture, hear the taste. If you're ready to swallow it, take another one, but feel how good this tastes all the way down in your sacral. Juicy, Sweet. Strawberry. If you took time and actually ate a meal that way, I'm not saying you have to moan the whole time. I do. I literally will sit in a fucking restaurant. You wanna test your trigger? Go take yourself out to a super fancy restaurant, order yourself something super delicious, and sit there and moan the whole fucking time. Oh, I mean, it's just so good. And just see what happens. First of all, people around you might want to move. That's fine. But really, like, enjoy, because chefs at a fancy fucking restaurant, they're artists, right? It comes out, you don't even want to eat it. There's a whole movement of Instagram fucking food pictures. People didn't used to take pictures of their food. They just ate it. All of a sudden, everyone's got Instagram and everyone's taking pictures, right? But some of those things you're like, damn, I fucking eat that. I don't even eat meat and I would eat that because it looks so good, right? Because they have it plated all beautifully. The aesthetic of a nice fancy restaurant. You're wearing something fancy, you feel good, and then you go in there and you're eating that. You don't even know if those ingredients are the best, but because you're already high and blissed out because you're at a fancy restaurant, you know you can pay your check. You ain't even worried about popping a bottle, right? The food can actually be shit. But you wouldn't know because all of the other aesthetics are coming in and it's plated so beautifully that when you take that bite, what happens? You have a foodgasm. Every time, I don't care what you're eating. It could be Brussels sprouts or lamb chops. Foie gras, right? So I want you to take that idea because I knew there was a reason why we had food. And let's jump into our art projects with this idea of playing in artistry. Okay, just like be a little artist, be a little finger painter, or if you've got sketches, whatever it is that you're deciding to use as your medium. Because it's a finger painting, we're actually not going to use a lot of time right now, right? We're going to turn on a track. I'll use geometry. We're going to use this awesome track that I have. Let's see if I can play it through Zoom though, because it usually works better. I might not be able to.
I can play it on my phone.
Yeah.
Is it on Spotify?
No, I can play it on my. I'll play it on the computer. I just don't know how well it like comes through. Sometimes it like cracks. So get out all your paints and all of that. Just again, like if you need to take another bite of food, you're like washing your hands in between. Do what you got to do, because this is about connecting to that sacral orange chakra. We're gonna turn on a mantra, the Gayatri mantra from my friend Lisa. This is a 12-minute track, guys. Like little kids do not have large capacities. We're dealing with two of them all the time. They're 3 and 5. Okay, they get art projects, and we're lucky if we got all the paints out by the time they're done with their art project, right? So we're not overthinking it. We're just connecting. Oh my God, this food tastes so good. What do I want to play in? What's the energy that I want to bring to New Earth? Because we have all these planets in Capricorn right now. The energy of the grounding and the changing of the planet in the 10th house is here. So how can we create such a ripple of pleasure? And like maybe what you're really feeling is that you're like a little bit turned on right now because I've been talking about having a real good fuck. So then paint that. Like, what does that feel like? That's okay too. You aren't a little kid. It's just that your sacral play energy and your sexual energy are actually the same chakra. So we're going to interweave inner healing, inner child healing with sex shame healing simultaneously because we're super conscious and we can do that. We don't need to create these fucking boxes of like, I'm doing just an inner child healing right now. Heal it all at once. Anything that has to do with the sacral chakra is getting worked on in this ritual. Yeah.
And allow yourself to clear out those remote stories just running in the background.
Oh, that you're not an artist. Get that shit out of here right now.
Not an artist, not creative, whatever you might think. Oh, I can't draw perfect with my fingers or whatever, however you're doing it. Right. Just let that all go. And
we're going to play this track and we'll check back in approximately 12 minutes.
Shake it. Shake it.
finish, and you're just like, yeah, I'm good. Dance it out. You'll, everyone has their full amount of time, but you can literally be like, nah, I'm good. And I'm over it. Maybe you're one of those like kids that's like, no, I'm already out of the circle. You got me for 6 minutes. You did great, and you're just over it. Don't overthink it. Move your body. What you gotta do. Eat a snack. Get your cookie. Get your juice box. Okay, we got like 3 minutes after your rush. Your inner child really gonna spend more than 10 minutes making a painting? You want, this is a really good track to do Breath of Fire too, so if you want to just add that in for a second. In through the nose, out through the nose, humping the navel, up, yep, there we go. Katrina's showing you, there you go, Eradicator, arms up, your hands are like this. Hey, you guys are down to your final minute. Don't stress. You really can come back and finish it later. I'm just fucking with you all. No one's in charge. Make your own rules. Good job, everyone. Yay, that was so sick. Okay. Now we're going to share if you want to share. You don't have to. You're not required. Sharing is not required. But if you'd like to share, and I'm going to tell everyone in the group too, like I'd love to, we're going to make a thread. I will make a thread in the group too. If you're like not done yet, that's cool. But if you want to share what you already created, jump on. You'll be on the, like, please know people on Zoom that you are on live on Facebook. So if you have a problem with that, feel free to just like chat it in if you want. But if you want to jump on and show me, I want to see the beautiful things your inner children made. Oh, sick. Yeah, David. Yes. So good. Yes, Christine. Let me see. Katrina. Christine. I want to see. I'll show you. Oh, so good, Christine. Oh, nice. Nice. Okay, here's one. We got some textures. I cheated. I had glitter. My inner child told me to go get my glitter box. Oh my gosh. Here's Dylan. Yes. Perfect. Yay, everyone. Looks so good. I'm so excited. I want us all to create. I'll make a thread in the group and we'll share our art. It's freaking awesome, guys. You're so amazing. So does anyone want to share maybe about your experience, how it made you feel doing this exercise? How's your sacral chakra feeling? Anyone?
Mine feels great. That was really good. I love just going cerebral and just like going like this and feeling into it and just really just allowing it just to flow out of me. I didn't have any concepts or ideas, but the finger paint texture, how it connects to the fingers and just connecting in general with the fingers. Like kids love eating with their fingers, play food, like or whatever finger food. So just connecting back to that was great for me.
Anybody else want to share? Remember, we're in a virtual circle inside a virtual super conscious preschool right now, sitting knee to knee, having our snacks. I felt free. I really like to create without thinking. Awesome. That's amazing, David. Well, I love your, it's fucking amazing. I love it. I love that you took it. You went there. I was hoping I could feel it. Someone was going there, and I'm so glad that you did. I have this practice in Superconscious Living, which is a group program that I run where I have everyone draw their own genitals. It's like the best practice ever. It's so amazing to see the art that comes up. So it's what I do. It's one of my favorite practices.
Oh, I want to do that one.
Yeah,
we
maybe we'll do
it
that
right
one.
now?
And then, I mean, for me, I just love leading all of this. I like being the teacher. I feel like kindergarten teachers probably have a lot of fun because they, that they're making things too sometimes. If they've got the class chill for 5 minutes, they're like, okay, I'm just gonna whip something out real quick. Right, you gotta just have fun with it. I did mine like the kids. Yeah, exactly, Christine. Just like the kids. That's what I did too. I have dots on mine, but I started very much like what Dylan was making.
She did hers with her kids.
Yeah. Probably. Oh, with the kids. Your kids are with you, Christine. Even better. Even better. This whole thing was inspired by Dylan doing painting with my kids like 2 days ago. I was all like, we should do that this week. So, it's all working out. It all lines up. So with this, guys, I want you to just take a second coming back to the fact that it is a new moon. We set intentions on our new moon, right? What is an intention? It really is something that you claim right now. It's not like one day in the future will be. You're like, this is my intention, ergo it will be done. My word is God, right? Thy will be done. They've got it hidden all over the place.
Mhm.
They just, you got to really know what they're trying to say. Jesus Christ came as an incarnate of a mortal understanding he was already God, and that he can manipulate the universe in that way. That's how he turned water into wine and fish into feeding thousands. And you all have the capacity to do that too once you release the belief in the limitations and the blocks that you've created for yourself.
I mean,
Even go for it.
Every piece of art you just made, you just created something. You just were the creator right there. You just brought something in from the ether into the physical. We just think our limitations are at art or sculpting or maybe architecture is our biggest impacts. But no, you can get real quantum with it and start making things appear out of nowhere
Or disappear.
or disappear.
Creating perfect scenarios, like perfect days. Like, would you be willing to follow your intuition for a whole day, just the whole time thinking, how can I make today the perfect day? With no attachment, but like, what would it be? And play with that. Maybe that would be a good journal prompt for everyone, right? Like, if I were to create my perfect day, there was an 8th day magically in the week, and I was in charge of it for that whole day. What would the day look like? What would we be doing? Everyone's going to create something different, but how often are you willing to allow that day to happen? Because you're always in the hustle and the grind, or like, okay, that's nice, but like, no, you're going, eventually you'll create that perfect day and you'll do what we do all the time, which is like, you remember when we had that thought like a couple of weeks ago and we're like, oh yeah, let's just have a whole play day with the kids.
Yeah.
And that's what happened yesterday.
The thing that's coming up big too, I think, is that the playing with every situation and being okay with playing with it. As observing the children, the different ages, I'm starting to get a lot of data coming back and seeing how they do it. And it's literally emotion hits them, they react, they show up authentically, they lose their shit, they go into hysteria of excitement, whatever it is. And you just watch them, and eventually they come back, they recalibrate into your frequency, or you just guide them, you hold them, and you let them know, hey, you're not injured like you think, you can come back. And instantly they come back, or we do the ohms with them, and they come back so simply, right? But as adults, we want to go, we don't want to play anymore. We think, oh, play, why do you stop playing around? Don't play around. It's like, that's like, what? That's one of the biggest things that's getting in the way of us. And we forget how to play with situations so that we hold on to them, because the opposite of playing is probably cleaning or like, I don't know, putting
Not
things,
if you're Mary Poppins.
putting things in the storage, So it's like time.
Not if you're Mary Poppins. Y'all know I'm speaking truth. You can make everything a game, which is what I wanted us to really tap into, right? Even what he's saying, cleaning the playroom. I can tell you that cleaning the playroom with my kids happens a whole lot easier if we're pretending that we're doing something else. Even something silly like an accent that you're doing while you're putting everything away, or you call every ball a square instead, right? But that's because we have children. So I love to show up for you guys to help those of you who also don't have children to do this inner healing. First of all, get some friends with kids and just do your inner child healing. Okay, I swear to God, it's fucking worth it to do it. Just become the uncle. I'm an only child, and so my kids all have these like uncles and aunts that aren't like actual relatives, right? It's totally fine and legit. So that you can then know how to parent your own children, but also realizing that what we're doing, okay, I get serious for a second. What we're doing is clearing the DNA imprints on the cellular structure of our actual DNA strands, the fucking chemicals on there. We're clearing them and cleaning them and activating the other 10 strands. Every time we do a ritual, every time we're in like conscious, like super conscious cosmic sex, right? It's not just to do it to get off, but you're like together thinking about something and creating something and helping to run the chi and the channels and moving the serpentine energy. Whenever we're talking about being dragons, whenever we're talking about being gods, whenever we're making music, whenever we're making dinner, we're all in this creation mode to help clear out the scarcity, fear, lack programming that is actually embedded in the epigenetics of our DNA. When we clear that, we have the capacity to then clear all of the kids that we would then have, right? So if you've already done the work and you've never had kids, guess what? Your children are going to be born without that, assuming that you have a partner that also has done that level of work, right? If you're someone like me that already has kids, I'm doing work, but my children will each have to do their own as well. at some point, and we do a lot of it with them. We're trying. That's a huge part of Dylan actually being in my life right now, is helping the kids get ready so that my grandkids or great grandchildren literally won't have that coding on their DNA anymore. Okay, that's what true new earth is. This is 2 generations away.
Yeah. 2050.
We're like Alexander Hamilton, knowing that he's creating a legacy, he's planting seeds in a garden that he'll never see the fruit of. That is what a lot of us are doing, and we need to understand and recognize that as the leaders, we might not ever see the fullness of the shit that we're doing, but it's fucking worth it. For our kids, our grandchildren, for the entire posterity of
Most
humanity.
likely you'll become immortal.
Yeah, you'll just become immortal and live
So,
like 300 years, so you'll be
Most
fine.
likely it's
But if you want to,
yeah.
some people want to transcend. It's their choice.
Yeah.
So that's like a little bit of more heady, but I mean, neurologically speaking, that's literally what we're able to do. We can
And-
see the crystalline DNA activating in people who meditate more often, the 10 other strands of DNA. Like, you can go and Google and go nerd out. Karen she's really being accurate, and then you'll be my level nerd, and we can totally have a whole Zoom just talking about DNA.
Observing the kids too, they get the imprints on their DNA so young, 3 years old, 5 years old, they all have
Some of
it,
it's
12
when they're
years old.
born.
It's already born into them. It happens during their life, but it's already there. So the best way that we can do to work to clear that stuff out is to clear it within ourselves, so we can show them the alignment that their DNA has to show up in, even if they're already born. Because then they're out of alignment, so they come into harmony together, they get into resonance, and their DNA just shifts naturally. Like her kids, they love yoga, they namaste all the time, they do the ohms, they have all these things that they enjoy because she's shown up for them in that way in her life to be able to hold space there, and they naturally are attracted to this stuff because that's what the rainbow children love. Now we now have to do that within ourselves to bring that energy they're bringing for us into our bodies as adults.
Like, even if you think about the 2012 prophecies or any of that, just for a minute, can you think about what it would be like for kids that think that the global consciousness was supposed to be at a higher level by now, and then they're being born? They're literally all being told that they're ADD, autistic, like there's something broken and wrong about them. When it's really the mass global consciousness hasn't woken up to understand the level of energy and magic these beings hold within them. And it's our job to show up for that, right? I literally refuse to get my kids tested because what's the point? I'm not going to treat them any differently. I'm going to love on them anyway. There's nothing out there that anyone could teach me about my children that I can't learn and do through trial and error myself. And all of those boxes and labels, even to the point of like gender labels, all of that, right? Or family constructs. Every single thing that we're doing with New Earth, you guys, is a patriarchal society system that we have to look at and evaluate. Do we like this or not? We keep this piece? We blew up Rome. Do we like this chunk or not? I'm gonna keep this building, right? We're the demo crew. Which chunk are we keeping? Which chunk are we not? And we don't understand the vastness that the scarcity is really interwoven into, right? People that you would never think are abusive have a secondary program running just because they're middle-class white males who had an advantage, and the system was literally made for them. It's not that they're abusive narcissists on purpose. It's that that's what the system is. So when you're putting children into it, you have to counter it. I'm not saying don't use public school or whatever, but like you have to put up the defense mechanisms to realize that New Earth it's decades of work, guys. We have a lot of work to do. So instead of being like, we have so much work to do, the planet is dying, we're gonna paint and play and talk about kinky, wild, crazy sex and magic and dragons, because I think that that's a lot more fun way of not only turning on other adults, but making it easy for the next generations to just be like, oh yeah, fucking dragons, aliens, that shit's normal. What I talk to you guys is normal for me because I was raised on Star Trek. So the idea of a planet that has one government that actually fucking gets along and there's no wars and everyone has access to clean, healthy food and water and education, that's a normal for me because that's what I was raised on, right? So that's all we have to do for our kids and everyone else. Just make magic and metaphysics and neuroscience and common motherfucking sense normal. Yeah. Okay. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. I want to see the pictures. We're going to do the thread right now. Next week, twin flame meditation. So if you want to like play with us in the twin flame energy and figure out what that's really all about, and if you want to clear your karma so you can at least meet whoever's, there's no dragons. I promise you, nobody's in this group that doesn't have some sort of dragon pair, whether it's a twin flame or not. Dragons work in pairs,
Or
we work
sometimes-
together, or
sometimes in
sometimes
trios.
triples,
Triplets,
sometimes
yeah.
triplets. So we are
Four's a
building,
little.
we're building connections, right? We're no longer solo healers trying to take over the world together or individually. We're coming together, right? Bridging together. So it will be a lot of fun. We're going to do a meditation next Thursday, noon. So every Thursday at noon in your phones, you guys, noon East Mountain Time. If you're here in Salt Lake or Salt Lake adjacent, we're having a lunar sound bath tomorrow at the clubhouse. So if you haven't registered for that, do
Only
that.
8 spots left.
Only like 10 spots left. And then nothing else for now. We have so many exciting announcements that I almost just told you, but not yet. Okay, I love you all. Thanks for coming. We'll see you.
Happy New Moon.
Happy New Moon. Bye.
Bye.